Hey everyone, and welcome to UK Media Warrior. Another edition of Doctor Who, episode 10, The Eaters of Light. I'm doing this one a little bit different. Normally I would start one of these reviews by going over what the episode was all about and what happened. But the reason I'm doing this one differently is because really nothing happened that you haven't seen 100,000 times before on Doctor Who. So I was sitting there thinking, well, I could do all of that, but I'm basically just going to say the same thing as I said in a dozen other episodes and other reviews. The Doctor turns up in a historical setting, finds a monster that's killing people, saves the people. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much all that happens, and we've seen that so many times before. So, rather than going through everything that happened in this episode, which really, when it boils down, really wasn't that much, I'm just going to try and get into the review itself. Now, that said, this episode really was, once again, just a filler, low-caliber episode. It really wasn't that good. There are a few historical things that were wrong. It played out as a really bad young adult movie. I mean, the acting was pretty dire. Once again, they hammered home Bill's sexuality in this episode by having to have this whole conversation with the Roman centurions about how she was only into girls, and they were like, well, that's okay, because he's only into guys, you know, and I like both, and all that sort of thing. So once again, they shoved sexuality and diversity into a Doctor Who episode this season. I think so far they're doing something political like this in every episode so far, so they're keeping up their numbers here. What else? Yeah, I mean, all the casts were young kids. I mean, they were like older teens, early 20s, and that's why I say it felt like a young adult movie or TV show, and I didn't quite understand why that was. I could, well, no, I mean, where are all the Picts? Sorry, they're actually Caledonians historically, but Picts was another name the Romans used them. So where are all the older Picts? Where are their fathers, their mothers, their grandparents? Where are the little kids? You know, why were the guards of this gateway just kids? That didn't make any sense at all. Plus, why were the Roman centurions? Why were they only kids? It actually says in the episode, Bill asks one of the guys, why do they keep calling you Grandad? And he's asked, because I'm the oldest of them, I'm 18. 18? And he's the oldest of them? Why would they have an episode populated by kids? It doesn't make any sense. It's like one of the old original Star Trek episodes where they go down to this planet and all the adults have been wiped out and all that's left are kids. It had the same feeling of it to me. Another bad thing, I'm sorry, the negatives on this episode are just going to go on and on. I honestly can't think of anything that stood out as really good. I mean, I suppose the monster with its tendrils was okay in places. Missy. As I've said in every review for this season, Missy at the end of the episode, fantastic. Her relationship with the Doctor just goes up and up and up every time we see them together. Fantastic. Okay, so there's your good point for this episode, but the rest of it, you know, it starts off on a bad point. You know, Nardole saying as they all step out of the TARDIS, why exactly are we gone back in the past again and you're not back at the vault protecting the vault as you swore to do? Oh, because Bill thinks she knows more about the Roman Ninth Legion than I do, so I had to prove her wrong. Why? What? You got this sacred oath to protect Missy in the vault, and instead you're going to bring Bill to 2nd century AD Scotland to prove her wrong? Huh? And then you let her wander off on her own. She's going to go and find the Roman army that's down by the river, and you're going to go off with Nardole to find the pile of bodies. Yeah, that makes perfect sense, Doctor. Let's let your young companion wander off into 2nd AD Scotland, where there's loads of Picts and there's loads of possibly Roman soldiers. Nothing bad could possibly happen in that situation, could it? And the fact that Bill stands there strutting around going, I know more about the Ninth Legion. Can you see any dead bodies around here? You know, the second she gets out of the TARDIS. Ego, big-headed, or what? How do you know you've even landed in the precise moment the Ninth Legion vanished? Nobody knows when that was. And You know, just so you've named the exact place where the Ninth Fleet. Scotland's a big place. You know, okay, you could have nailed it down to a few hundred miles maybe, but to say the TARDIS landed, you step out of the TARDIS and well, there they are. No, that just looked really, really stupid and made Bill look even worse than she normally does. And it also cast the Doctor in a bad light because, as I say, he lets his companion wander off into this unknown danger. And obviously, finally, the Doctor does find the Ninth Legion all dead and suffering from having their bones decalcified or whatever it was that they'd done to them. So yeah, a bad start, and it just gets worse. And another thing on this episode, Bill suddenly realises that she can understand other people's languages. She's speaking Latin to a Roman soldier. He can hear her speaking Latin. She can understand what he's saying. Only now does the penny drop after 10 episodes. She's been out into space, she's spoken to aliens, she's spoken to ice warriors, she's spoken to Victorian English people where the language would have been slightly different, but that didn't twig anything. And only now does she start to wonder, well, hang on a minute, how can I understand you so well? And to make it even more odd and slightly out there, she manages to piece it all together in a couple of seconds how she can do it. No other companion, I don't think, in the entire history of Doctor Who has ever been able to put together so fast that the reason that they can understand other people's languages is because of the Doctor or the TARDIS. So once again, they're trying to make Bill look like this incredible character, this incredible person who has this amazing way of putting together pieces of a puzzle. But let's be fair, there's no puzzle pieces here for her to put together. She is talking to a Roman soldier. She realises, and she's actually quite rude to him when they're in that pit to a degree. She realises she can speak Latin, or he's hearing Latin, she's hearing English, and immediately she thinks, well, how can this be? Ah, it's the TARDIS and the Doctor. Okay, fair enough. It's a leap of logic that could be made. It's fair enough, but the fact that she's just doing it now is a little bit weird. And equally, it has been established in previous Doctor Who episodes, even in the reimagined stuff since Chris Eccleston's era, that it's the TARDIS that connects telepathically to anyone who travels within it for a length of time. It's an advantage of travelling in the TARDIS. It's not the Doctor. The Doctor has nothing to do with this. It's like you know, how some cars nowadays can, you know, auto park. It's the same sort of thing. It's just a gadget in the TARDIS. If you travel in the TARDIS, it connects to you telepathically and basically works as a universal translator. Whatever you hear, you can understand, and whatever you speak, they can understand. Okay, that's how it works. That's been established beyond doubt. But in this episode, for some reason, you have a bunch of Romans and a bunch of Picts facing off against each other, and all of a sudden they all realise they can understand each other perfectly. The Picts are talking Latin, and the Romans are talking whatever it is that the Caledonians spoke. No, that wouldn't work, because it's not the Doctor that allows the companion to understand languages. It's the TARDIS, and you have to have travelled in the TARDIS for the TARDIS to get the telepathic link with you. These Romans and these Picts have never been inside the TARDIS. They've never been anywhere close to the TARDIS. They would not have the ability to understand each other because of the Doctor. That's wrong, and it's been established beyond doubt in all other Doctor Who episodes. So, no, big bad. Let's go on to some of the historical problems here. Black Roman centurions. There wouldn't have been. Okay, there were black soldiers in the Roman army. Most of them, 90% of them, were auxiliary units. You know, slingers or javeliners or cavalry that were recruited from conquered provinces. So basically, I think it's the Numidians or the Nubians, one or two from North Africa, were really good cavalrymen. So they had whole auxiliary units of cavalry with just black guys because they were fantastic cavalry. And there would have been a very few in the entire Roman army all over Europe and the Mediterranean where there would have been black people in it. Racism wasn't really a thing in ancient Rome. if a person had the money, had Roman status, Roman citizenship, and could meet all the requirements, then there's no reason he couldn't be brought into the army. Now that said, to become a centurion, which all of these Roman characters on this show are said to be, because that's what they all call themselves, centurions, that would be highly unlikely. And to find two of them in one small unit, I think there was like 5 or 6 Romans in this show, and for 2 of them to be black centurions, the fact you could get 1 centurion in the entire Roman army would be a thing. To rise that high, because he wouldn't be Italian. You know, he wouldn't be a Roman from an original Roman, as it were. And the fact that they're 18 or younger, centurions had to be at least 30. They had to do a few years in the army. They had to prove their bravery and their skill in battle before they could be promoted from the ranks. Or promoted by, they might have had a person they knew in Rome who had a high political position, and they could appoint them as a centurion. But even so, they would still have to be an older and show some degree of skill in fighting and be brave. Because most of the Roman centurions had to deal with 100 men. They were basically like captains in our modern army. So in this episode, we find 6, for want of a better way of explaining it, 6 captains have run away from the battle to hide. Can you, I mean, try and think of that in modern terms. Let's say there was a battle in a field, the army's there, the army's being massacred, 6 captains managed to find the same hiding, they all run away at the same time, they all find the same hiding place. There are no privates, there are no NCOs, no sergeants, corporals or anything, nothing like that. Just 6 captains all run away at the same time and find the same hiding place to hide out in. Think that might work? Think that's logical? Think that could happen? Nah, probably not. I mean, like I said, a centurion deals with 100 men. The fact that there are these 5 or 6 centurions all hiding out in a cave and there are no other legionaries anywhere, they all died, but their officers all ran away at the same time and hid. It's just stupid, and it doesn't have to work like that. They didn't have to keep calling them all centurions. They could have called some legionaries. It's just a word, it's a term, it's a label. You could have had 1 centurion, that guy who was supposed to be leading them, and the others could have been legionaries. That would have fixed the problem. But it's just weak writing. It's just stupid, low-brain writing that this season seems to be suffered at, as if they're dumbing down Doctor Who to try and get, I don't know, younger ages interested maybe? I don't know. But any adult of reasonable intelligence is going to be watching these episodes and thinking, well, that doesn't make much sense. That doesn't seem right. It's just so frustrating. And then we have the Picts themselves. Like I say, all kids, and you've got this young girl called Car, who's supposed to be the keeper of the gate, the guardian of the gate. Why would they put an 18-year-old girl in charge of protecting the gate? There must have been older people responsible for guarding that gate. It's got nothing to do with the fact she's female. She's an 18-year-old kid. She wouldn't have had that much experience. Physically, she's not as strong as an adult, and you want to keep this creature out of your world. So why would they put her as the guardian of the gate? It doesn't make any sense. And then this creature managed to kill off 5,000 Romans. A trained Roman army of 5,000 men couldn't kill this one creature. Was it impervious to metal? I mean, there's no explanation given here. It's just said, oh yeah, she let this creature through to kill the army because the army was coming to kill all her people, and it wiped them all out. That's it. That's all you get. So the Doctor doesn't even say, oh yes, this creature is immune to metal weapons or that sort of thing. But then that wouldn't make sense, because if it was immune to weapons, how would the keeper of the gate manage to keep the creature out of our world? They would just get killed because their weapons would be ineffective. You see, nothing holds together here. However you try to look at it, nothing holds together. And that's why I hate some of this season's stories. They've been terrible. Bill has to. So you've got these five or six Roman legionaries all hunkered down in a cave, all scared, and of course it's Bill who comes in and says, "Well, I'll lead you. I'll show you the way out. Follow me." And it's like, well, no, she wouldn't. Even if she tried, they would just say, "Shut the fuck up and sit down. We're trained Roman legionaries. We know what we're doing." You know, they wouldn't listen to this person from nowhere who's just wandered in, who's a woman. You know, and let's face facts here. Women in Roman times were expected to take care of the household, have babies. That was pretty much it. They didn't raise to political office. They weren't in charge of armies. You know, men as a rule didn't listen to the women. So the fact you've got these 5 Roman centurions who are supposed to be brave and skilled warriors listening to this black woman who's just wandered in from nowhere is stupid, but they have to do it because they have to give Bill something to do and they have to make her look good. It just... it really raises my blood pressure when I watch these episodes. They could be done so well. They could be written so much tighter. The information could be historically accurate. It takes a 20-minute Google search to find out these things. But the writers just don't bother. They just write weak, stupid scripts with huge plot holes that are just, like I say, a bad young adult novel. And Doctor Who fans deserve better than this. We deserve better scripts, better stories. We've got the actors. Peter Capaldi is a fantastic actor. But why is it only when he is with Missy that we actually see some proper acting and some proper in-depth story going on? Because those two people, Michelle Gomez and Peter Capaldi, are great actors, and together, even if the writing is a little bit hammy at times, how they do it is just mesmerizing on screen. And why can't we have more of that? So anyway, yes, let's end it there, because there is nothing else to say about this episode. It's pretty much all bad. The only good is Missy and the Doctor. So we'll leave it there. I'm going to rate this one 2 out of 10. Another terrible episode. It was just a filler episode for this season before they got on to something a little bit more juicy. Hopefully next episode, with the return of the Mondas Cybermen, who I think we saw first at the end of William Hartnell's run. At the end of that episode, I think it's called the 10th Planet, and at the end of that episode he regenerates into Patrick Troughton. So the first time we see these guys is at the very end of William Hartnell's take on the Doctor. So anyway, thank you for listening to my rant in this review. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to my YouTube channel or share this on Facebook. But until next time, you guys take care. I'll see you then.